यस्त्यक्त्वा रूपमाद्यं प्रभवति जगतः अनेकधा अनुग्रहाय प्रक्षीणक्लेशराशिः विषमविषधरः अनेकवक्त्रसुभोगी सर्वज्ञानप्रसूतिः भुजगपरिकरः प्रीतये यस्य नित्यं देवो हीशः सवो व्यात् सित विमलतनुः योगदो योगयुक्तः योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिं श्रीमते अनन्ताय नागराजाय नमो नमः। पातञ्जलमहाभाष्य चरकप्रतिसंस्कृतैः मनोवाक्कायदोषाणां हर्त्रे अहिपतये नमः। So, Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvaka, Itaresham. Last time we began this very important sutra in the first chapter of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is talking about what is the foundation for yoga practices, especially for people like us who by birth are not gifted with special abilities or capacities. This is the sutra number 20, and Patanjali calls us Purvaka Itaresham. That means those who are different from the others who have been earlier mentioned. So, we belong to the others category, which basically means we are not born with special abilities. Bhava Pratyaya. We are not born with special capacities, like we are not prodigies with the capacity to be in Samadhi just from the time of our birth. So, for us we have to do some effort, we have to put some effort, we have to put some practice. And therefore, Patanjali says the mechanism is what is called Shraddha. And we discussed this sutra in great detail as to what Shraddha will lead to: Viryam, courage. Then what that in turn will lead to, which is called Smriti, which is reminders, memories or meditation. And therefore, Samadhi, and therefore Prajna, clarity. So, there is a procedure that is presented. Commentators like Vyasa, they give us a name. They are saying that Patanjali has said those born by birth are called Bhava Pratyayas, whereas we are called what is called Upaya Pratyaya. Upaya Pratyaya means we achieve intelligence, we achieve clarity through certain means, through certain practices. That is what is called Upaya. So, for us Upaya Pratyayas, where some practices are necessary, Shraddha is the starting point, and this is what we discussed last time. But then people have different levels of Shraddha, different capacities of Shraddha. When we say we can have Shraddha, we have Shraddha, the next question comes, okay, I have faith, but how long will it take? How much time should I wait? Patanjali predicts this question and he answers this. Tevra samveganam asannaha mridu madhya adhimatritva tatopi visheshaha. He says, when as far as Shraddha is concerned, Tevra samveganam asannaha. There are some people for whom the Shraddha is very, very intense. Tevra samvega. Tevra means intense, hardcore. Means people who have great faith. They are very dedicated to their practice. For such people, asannaha, they arrive at the goal very quickly. Means if you are intense in your faith and practice, you will reach the goal more quickly. This applies to any field, not only yoga. Even if you want to learn a new language, some months ago, I started trying to learn a new language. And when you have to learn a new language, you have to do some practices, you have to be a very sincere student. So, in a classroom where we are about 25-30 students in this institute where we are learning German, there are some students who are so dedicated to learning German. There are some people who are not so serious, they are a bit casual, like us, like me. So, some of my classmates who started with me, they speak much more fluently than me because I am a bit not so hardcore in this practice because I have had other responsibilities and other things to worry about. So, I could not give that much intensity to the learning process. So, the goal has not been reached quicker, the goal is delayed. So, maybe it will take more time for somebody like me, whereas for my classmates, some of them who are very young as well, their mind is very fresh, but at the same time they also have more time because they have less responsibilities, they are able to put more effort into practice, they speak quicker. The same with yoga. The more intense you are in the practice with faith, the more quickly you arrive at the destination. You arrive at the destination. And the next sutra also says, Mridu Madhya Adhimatratva Tatopi Visheshaha. Sometimes our faith is very great, Adhimatra. Sometimes it's intermediate, Madhya. Sometimes there is mild, very low amount of faith. This is Mridu. And this could be that at different points of life we can go up and down. Because life is not steady process, there is challenges that comes. Sometimes we are going through difficult moments in our life, maybe there is a crisis in our family, maybe one of our parents is dying, or maybe one of our children is suffering from an illness, or maybe our wife or husband is suffering from a disease, or maybe we lose our jobs. There are different crises that can challenge our life, and therefore our faith can be challenged. Normally we may have intense faith, but at certain moments the faith is challenged because of so many other circumstances. So it's not so intense, it becomes mild, it becomes weaker. Patanjali says, still, as long as there is some faith, the benefits will be consistent with that amount of faith that you have. Mridu, Madhya, Adhimatratva, Tataha api Visheshaha. Consistent to that, there will be results, consequences. The same is given by, the same idea is presented by Natha Muni in the Yoga Rahasya. Yasya yavamscha vishwasaha tasya tavat phalam bhavet. As much as you have faith, vishwasa, faith, that much benefit you will get. The benefit is not based on only the practice you are doing. If you are doing a practice without any faith, the result will not be the same as if you are doing a practice with great amount of faith. So, consistent to the level of faith, there will be results accordingly. There will be results accordingly. Many years ago, one medical doctor came from the Harvard University to meet my father because he had heard about the therapeutic work that my father was doing. And this doctor was a psychiatrist, so he was medical as well as he was also a mind doctor as well. And he came here, stayed for a month time, and he observed many classes. And he was astonished how quickly the people were getting better. And he said to my father, "Sir, it looks like yoga's tools are very powerful because you are able to help them so quickly, whereas in our hospital, people take so much time to get better." My father said very simply, he said, "It's not taking so much time because of the tool. It's taking quicker for these people to get better because they have faith in the practice, they have faith in me. Whereas in the medical system, many people don't have faith, especially in many Western countries, the doctors are looked at with lot of suspicion. There's malpractice problems. Did he do the right thing? Did he do the right thing? There's people going from first opinion, then second opinion, then third opinion, then expert opinion. The people are consulting. Why do you need so many opinions? If you have confidence in the doctor, we are going to, one opinion is enough. But people don't have the faith in the system, in the doctor, maybe in the thing, so they are asking. So that is what my father answered. The reason why this yoga is working with these people is because they have faith in me first, then they have faith in the practice that I am giving them, so it is quicker. Whereas in the same thing will happen to your treatment of your patients when you can establish that faith in your students that you are caring for them and that these tools that you are recommending will do good for them. If you can communicate that with and motivate their faith, the same will happen with your tools. In that way, what he was saying is that the tool takes a secondary place, the faith that we invest in that tool takes the first place. This is the philosophy of yoga. The philosophy of yoga, the tool is not the most important, the faith in the tool is the most important. In this context, I have to say another example because this establishes this idea very strongly. And especially in modern era where everybody is so particular about we should get the yoga practice correct, we should chant the mantra correctly, we should do this correctly, we should do that correctly. Sometimes this is where my father's idea that the faith is more important than the tool becomes very relevant. Again, another example, some years ago, again my father was teaching many people therapeutically, and one person came from Europe to meet my father here for some problems. So my father designed a practice and he taught him that, and then this person went away, and the person was feeling better after some months, but then the person had a little crisis, and so he called my father and said, "Oh sir, a new problem has come, and this is what has happened," and he explained that problem to my father. And my father said, "Okay, no problem, I will draft a practice for you and I will send it to you through fax and you can practice." And the person could reasonably understand the practice because the person was not a new student to yoga, he knew little bit yoga from before. So my father sent him the practice through the fax, and the person started practicing, and then the person wrote back through a fax few months later saying, "Sir, my practice is improved, my health, I have been able to deal with the crisis and I am very happy now, thank you so much, and I am going to come to India in a few weeks, would I be able to meet you and review the practice with you?" My father said, "Sure, come." So the person comes, Now, at this time I was also observing my father when he was teaching others, and this person was doing the practice and he was saying some chant during the practice which was somehow incorrect. There was some pieces missing, and I was looking at my father, and my father was also a bit surprised, but he didn't say anything. He just let the person do, and then he asked the student, where did you get this mantra from? And the student said, sir, you only sent it to me. My father said, really? And the student said, yes. And my father said, it's not possible. The student said, no sir, it is possible. Here your facts. And my father looked at this, and then he showed it to me and he said, what is wrong with our fax machine? Because in those days when there is a fax machine, sometimes if there is some problem in the machine, one black line comes somewhere in the middle. So when he had received the fax, on the reception side there was one black line that had come, which had blacked out 2 or 3 syllables of the mantra. So just to give an example, I don't remember the mantra. Instead of namaha, if na is removed, it becomes maha. So imagine a black line. So the guy is doing maha in the practice instead of namaha. And we in the Vedic culture, we are very particular, saying mantras must be done correctly. You cannot make mistakes with mantras. But here's an example where he received it. The wrong mantra he was practicing for a few months, but still he got benefit. This is the example how faith is more important than the tool. The faith is more important than the tool. So that is why Patanjali is presenting these 2 sutras, 21 and 22, which are extensions of the Shraddha Sutra, which says varying amounts of faith may be there, but the more intense the faith, the more will be the benefit. Sometimes it can even supersede the tool itself. Sometimes it can supersede the tool itself. Even other great teachers have spoken about this. For example, if you read the story of Jesus, even when people were confronting Jesus saying, how did you do that? How did you bring back somebody from the dead? He only said it is through faith. He didn't say, I know magic, I know some special tools. He only said it is faith. So faith is a very strong topic in many spiritual traditions. The interpretation of faith can be little different in the yoga context. This is not talking about religious faith, it is talking about our self-belief, our conviction, the faith in the practice that we are doing, the faith in the relationship we are sharing with the teacher, the faith that somehow we will be taken care of. Somehow we will be taken care of. Rakshishyati iti vishwasaha. We have that faith that we will be protected somehow, no matter what the challenges. When that is there, asannaha, the goal is arriving very soon. The goal is arriving very soon. Now here again I would like to clarify, because we must not take this literally as well, that when we say goal is arriving very soon, it means it will come in quicker time. Perhaps it will come in quicker time. This is one part of it. But there is also another part of it, which is time will seem quicker when you have more faith. Whereas when you don't have faith, the time will seem longer. You can take for example simple things. When you are interested in a subject, you are listening to a subject, the time of the class goes very quickly. There are many subjects in our school. When we did teacher training in yoga as well, there were subjects that were of interest, there were subjects that was not at all of interest. Sometimes the subjects that we find very interesting goes quickly. Subjects we find boring, the same 1 hour seems like 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. The same way, for somebody who has faith, he will be patient. So even 3 years will seem very quick. Whereas somebody who has no faith, 3 minutes will seem like 3 years. So asanna is also talking about the relativity of our experience. It will feel very quick when there is faith, whereas it will feel very long when there is not that faith. When there is not that faith. Somebody came to my grandfather many years ago. He had asthma, and he said he heard about my grandfather's ability to help people with yoga therapy. He said, "Sir, can you cure me asthma?" My father said, "Well, we can." My grandfather said, "Well, we can try." He said, "Sir, I want to be cured in 1 week. Can you do it?" My grandfather said, "How long do you have this problem?" And the man said, "I have it for 30 years. He said, "Then you must give me at least 30 years as well." But he was just testing that student. Maybe he didn't need 30 years, but you cannot cure it in 1 week. But if you have faith, even if it takes 6 months, it may feel like a week. Whereas if you don't have that faith, even that 1 week will feel like 30 years. So asannaha is also inclusive of the relative factor of time. Vyasa and another commentator called Vijnana Bhikshu, who expands on Vyasa, present this in another dimension. They say that there are 9 possibilities that we can have of the intensity of faith and intensity of practices. They talk about this in the sutra Mridu, Madhya, Adhimatra and the Tivra Samvega. Combined, they give the commentary. What Vyasa and Vijnana Bhikshu says is, there are 2 aspects that are part of our journey in yoga. One is upaya, one is the shraddha. And if we take these 2 combined with Mridu, Madhya, Adhimatra, there are 9 possibilities. So Vyasa says, Mridu upaya, Mridu samvega, Mridu upaya, Madhya samvega, Mridu upaya, Tivra samvega. 3 possibilities like this. What does it mean? There are some tools in yoga that are mild. Yoga does not have only one solution. Yoga has many solutions. There are some tools of yoga that are very mild. There are some tools of yoga that have intermediate level potency. And there are some tools of yoga that have very intense potency. Tivra upaya. So, Mridu upaya, Madhya upaya, Tivra upaya. Some tools of yoga are very mild. You do Apanasana, it's very mild. You do Vajrasana, very mild. It's not really very intense. Whereas you do something more powerful, like Matsyendrasana, Sarvangasana, etc. It's a little bit more advanced than very simple tools. I am only talking in asana now. Then there are more intense tools, more intense asanas, Kaundinyasana, Bakasana, etc. that are Tivra. Similarly in pranayama, there are very simple pranayama, you do Shitali, very simple, very mild. Whereas you can do pranayama with some ratios 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, intermediate level difficulty. Advanced pranayama techniques, things like ratios like 1, 4, 2, 1, pranayama like Murcha, Plavini, etc. Tivra upaya. So in asana, in pranayama, in mantra, in meditation, in mudra, there are different levels of intensity of the tool itself. And we can engage at different levels. That combined with Mridu samvega, Madhya samvega, Tivra samvega, 3 different levels of shraddha. So you take a Mridu upaya, mild tool, and Mridu samvega, mild shraddha, the result will be a little bit later, it will also be mild. Whereas if you take Tivra Upaya, very intense tool, with intense Samvega, Tivra Samvega, which is intense level of faith, the goal will be closer. Tivra Samveganam Asannaha. This is what the sutra means. The more intense the practice is and the more intense the tool is, the closer you are to the goal. And that is the situation here. But even a Tivra Upaya, very intense practice, with Mrudu Samvega, mild level of faith, will not have great benefits because the faith is mild. So, just because I am doing complicated asanas, it does not mean that we are closer to the goal. The more important is the samvega, the hierarchy of that. Yes, there is a hierarchy of the tool, but the hierarchy of the tool, when compared with the hierarchy of the conviction we have, the conviction gets higher priority. So, a mrudu upaya, a mild tool with tivra samvega leads you closer. That is what we are doing in therapy. My father, when he would teach the students with suffering, sometimes the tools he would use are very simple. He would use simple asanas like Apanasana, Vajrasana, Chakravakasana, Pranayama would be like Shitali. Sometimes only 3 seconds inhale, 3 seconds exhale, which is not even very long. In the Hatha Yoga, they say beginners should do 12 seconds inhale, 12 seconds exhale. But 3 second inhale, 3 second exhale is nothing. So, the tool is very mild. But their faith was intense, their faith was strong, they had good conviction. Therefore, they got better quicker. So, between the Upaya and between the Shraddha gets higher priority. That is why my grandfather called this differently. People like Vyasa and Vartika, Vijnana Bhikshu, they called others like us, we are Upaya Pratyayas. Krishnamacharya said, this is not necessarily only Upaya Pratyaya, we should call them Shraddha Pratyaya. We gain the Pratyaya, we gain Samadhi through Shraddha. That becomes the fundamental basis. This is a very important thing to understand. And we have to consider both options. There are tools in yoga that are mild in potency, that are intermediate in potency, and that are very strong in potency. And there is also that has to be combined with the amount of conviction and faith that we have, which can also be mild, which can also be intermediate, which can also be strong. And both can change because our life is not always stable. Things happen. We may be very fit and we are doing very challenging yoga practices. But one day we get an accident. We are not able to do all the challenging positions anymore for maybe 6 months' time. But if our faith has not changed, if the faith is still intense, even the milder upayas will have greater benefit because the faith has not changed. Whereas sometimes we don't have any physical problems or whatever, we are able to do all the intense yoga practices, but our faith is challenged. Intense faith becomes weak faith. Then even though we are doing very potent practices, the benefits are not coming quickly. The benefits are not happening. In modern science also, they are doing research on medication called placebo. People who have belief and faith that they are taking good medication, they get better sooner than those who do not believe in that. So, even in modern medicine, they are talking about this because the receptivity changes inside us. What we like to understand is that it is not that faith should be looked at as a religious process. What Shraddha begins or brings to us is a process of being open. And unless you are open, you cannot receive. You take a cup and you want to fill some water. If the cup is covered, you cannot fill anything with that. And that is what fear does. What does fear do? It locks. When we are afraid, we lock the door to our house. We lock our computer with password. We lock our bank account. We lock our bank locker with a key. Why? Because when we are afraid, we lock it. We close it. That is the role of fear. Fear is the opposite of Shraddha. What does Shraddha do? It's unlocking, it's opening. It opens the door. So that something can happen, some positive thing can happen. Because unless you have the receptivity to receive some help, nobody can help you. And that is what conviction brings us. It makes us open for help. Makes us open for help. My grandfather always used to say this, because somebody asked him, you are saying that we should have faith in God, and only those who have faith in God will be blessed, and those who don't will not be blessed. My grandfather said, I am not exactly saying that, but in some ways, yes, I am saying that. So that person asks, how? What do you mean? He says, God is not blessing only one person and not the others. God's blessing is for everybody, because God treats everybody the same. But some people refuse help, refuse to receive that help, therefore they are rejecting help, therefore they are not helping. There is a story that one of my friends share. One person is going in a boat and there is a storm, and he falls into the water and he is swimming. He prays to God, God, please help me. So after some time, one log of wood comes. He looks at it and he says, God, please help me. I want your help. I don't want a log of wood. He lets the log of wood go. Then comes a boat and somebody throws a rope to him saying, take it, take it. He says, no, 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 I don't want your help, I want God's help. Let's go. And let us, for example, the argument's sake, we say God sends a dolphin to help him. He says, no, no, I don't want you, dolphin, I want God to help me. Poor man dies. And he goes to heaven. Says, God, I asked you help 3 times, you never helped me. And God tells him, first I sent you a log of wood, you didn't take it. I sent you people with a rope, you didn't take it. Then I sent you a dolphin, you don't take it. What more do you want me to do? This is the story. The blessings of the divine is always there. Whether we take it or not is different. And the same with yoga. The benefits of yoga practices will always be there for us. But the receptivity to its benefits is dependent on the Shraddha. If I do a practice, its benefit will be there always. But whether I receive all the benefits that come with it or not depends on how open I am. You take a cup of water and you cover it completely, all the water which is poured falls off. You make a small hole, mrudu, a small hole, only little water goes in, lot of water goes out. Madhya, you would make a little bit bigger hole, you pour water, some more water goes in, but much water goes out. Adhimatra, you keep the cup fully open, whatever is poured is received by the cup. And that is what Shraddha is doing for us. Shraddha is not some magical thing. It only opens our heart to receive the benefit that comes our way. Whereas the opposite of Shraddha closes our door to everything that is coming our way. Sometimes we cannot even see that we are being helped because we are afraid. There is a very beautiful verse in Vedic mythology, Indian culture. Avyavasthita chittanam prasado api bhayankaraha. For a person whose mind is full of fear, even something which is offered as a gift seems very dangerous. Prasadaha api bhayankaraha. give something very nice, it seems very dangerous. And that is what is the role of Shraddha. Shraddha makes dangerous things looks nice, whereas fear makes nice things look dangerous. So that is why these three sutras are very, very essential, because they become the platform for all that is going to be presented later. From the next sutra onwards, Patanjali offers solutions. He offers solutions of how to come towards the yoga state. But before he is offering the solutions, he says all those solutions will work only when there is the foundation of Shraddha. That is what I said last week, which I would like to remind you of. In the modern era, we live in a time where we want evidence for everything before we engage with something. We want to have proof that it will work before we actually engage with that. Will this technique work? Will that technique work? We want proof, and proof only through a certain mechanism called modern science, which is based on evidence based research. Whereas the paradigm of yoga is saying the reverse. Says you have Shraddha, it will work. You have faith, it will work. Because it's the opposite. It says you cannot ask for proof, then engage with it. You engage with faith, then it will work. So it's the opposite paradigm. And that's why we all have to have this reflection whether in the era we are living in, whether yoga really is relevant if we remove the element of faith. If we remove Shraddha from yoga practices, there is no more yoga practices at all. And we are able to accept the concept of faith in certain dimensions of our life, but not in certain very important aspects of our life. And that is the key ingredient. Shraddha is the foundation for success. You take a relationship works not because two people are perfect. Sometimes there will be two people who are totally imperfect, even imperfect for each other. But it works because they have a great faith in each other, they trust each other, there is openness, the same thing that Shraddha brings. They may be dysfunctional as two individuals, but this relationship still works. Why? Because of faith, not because of other things. So in certain aspects we are able to see it. The same thing we have to bring to yoga. If we remove Shraddha from yoga, we are no more in yoga, we are in the domain of physical exercise, physical fitness, we are in the domain of circus. The great Prime Minister of our country, India, Mr. Narendra Modi, talked about this in the yoga day. He said, if yoga was only physical exercises, even a circus man would be a yogi. But a circus fellow is not a yogi. Circus person can do all the asanas that we can show in yoga and even more. They are so flexible. But that is not what determines whether a person is a yogi or not. And according to the yoga philosophy, it is Shraddha. Therefore, this topic is very important. And therefore, if we have to bring the concept of faith into the modern era, I would like to end this lecture by quoting a great American guitarist who said, "Keep the faith."